Welcome everyone to this exciting interview segment. Today we have the pleasure of sitting down with Annie Sullivan, star of the movie the Lifetime Movie Network, Dressed to Kill or Killer Fashion. I saw that the movie is called both ways.
I saw that too. I was like, okay.
So, join us as we delve into Annie's insights into her character and the challenges of filming this movie. Thank you for being here with us, Annie.
Of course. Thanks for inviting me.
It's a pleasure. So, can you tell us a little bit about your character in Dress to Kill?
Yes, of course. So Blair is someone who is a little bit entitled, but I think she comes from a place of genuinely wanting to succeed, but it's hard because her mom doesn't really believe in her and she thinks she's just a party girl and she isn't serious. And though she is a bit of a party girl, she does think that what she's doing is helping the company, and her mom just doesn't see that. So I think a lot of her actions stem from the fact that she's just not supported by her mom, and it kind of makes her act out because she doesn't know how else to get her mom's attention because she doesn't believe her or believe in her at all. But she definitely has a little growing up to do for sure. But she was a lot of fun to play. She definitely was pretty different from me in real life, but we definitely had some similarities as well. So it was really nice to play on those differences and figure her out. And she's a lot of fun. She's cool. She's has some good moments.
Yeah, great. And what initially attracted you to your role in this movie?
Um, I like to play someone who is misunderstood. I also love to play someone who is a little bit of a brat, which sounds kind of weird, but Blair can definitely be a little bit of a brat. I The first time I got cast in that kind of role of someone being kind of snotty and rude, I thought to myself, like, what do I give off that gives this energy? Like, oh Lord, I hope people don't think I'm mean or something. But I genuinely enjoyed playing on those behaviors because it's different than how I would act in my everyday life. So it really allowed me to stretch myself and just figure out different versions of myself and her. So I think that really drew me in to playing her.
Great. And what do you think makes this movie so special and captivating?
I love how many different characters there are. I think there are so many different energies and different values and missions all throughout this cast. And I think it makes it really interesting to watch. I think it's really awesome to see the dynamic of all these people together because they're all so different, but they're involved in this company and they have different visions of what they want, but they have to clash with each other. And it was so fun to shoot because everybody was just so lovely and so wonderful. Every day just felt like such a blast. And I think it's going to be really fun to watch because you're going to see all those differences. And there's so many stories that you care about within the movie, but everything's so well done. Everyone's so well rounded that you don't feel like, oh, who's that? Oh, who's that? Like everyone's great. And so I think it's going to be really cool to see.
Yeah. And what was it like working with the rest of the cast and crew on set?
It was so fun. It was just amazing. This was my second time working with this company. So there was some familiar faces, but also a lot of new ones. And working with the cast, especially Brianna, who plays the lead, she is so wonderful. I felt like I benefited so much from getting to talk to her and act with her and learn from her because she has done so many movies. She's so experienced and so talented. And it was just such a privilege to be able to be there with her and learn from her. And we actually had two Mo's on set, which was so funny. But both of them were just so lovely. And it was so fun to get to chat and hear about everyone's lives on breaks. And working with the cast and crew was just so amazing. And Lindsay, the director, I just love her. I look up to her immensely. I love her energy. She's so funny. She makes me feel so comfortable, and she totally supports fun choices I have or ideas. She's one of those directors who will really listen if you have questions or you have an idea for a scene or you're not sure about something. She really will take the time and hammer it out with you, which I really, really appreciate. It feels very collaborative, which is really awesome. So it was just such a privilege to be there with everybody.
Great. And what can you tease about your character journey?
Ooh, ooh. I don't want to spoil anything. What can I tease? I think I can tease that Blair thinks her heart is in the right place. She thinks what she's doing and how she acts is for the greater good of the company, and she thinks she's going to propel this company forward come hell or high water. She wants to make it happen. That's what I'll tease.
Great. And the last question about this movie, what was your favorite scene or moment while filming it?
Ooh, these are hard. Just kidding. I think there's a scene where I go over to Amy's house for dinner. And it's very interesting to be sitting at the table with them because it's a lot of different energies and it's a little bit awkward, but it's cool. And she kind of opens up about herself a little bit and you see a different side of her. And I really like that scene. I think it's a very, not heavy, but I'm trying to think of the right word. I guess I'll say it's a juicy scene. I just think it's interesting and fun to watch. I think that might be my favorite scene.
Amazing. And change of subject.
Okay.
This is a question I ask to all the artists I have the pleasure to talk with. What have been some of the most memorable projects you have worked on throughout your career and why for you?
Oh, okay. Yeah. So this past summer, I did a horror movie and it was about a cult. It had to do with demons and really scary stuff. And I would consider myself a baby because I used to hate horror movies. I get scared at like the drop of a hat. Like I am such a baby when it comes to that kind of stuff. So when I first read the script, I was like, oh my gosh, like this is so scary. But I had worked with the director before on a different project and I really liked him. I really admired his writing. I love how passionate he was. So I auditioned and it worked out. And when we shot it, it really pushed me to emotional depths I hadn't been to before. We shot it in the woods at these really creepy cabins. So it really pushed me out of my comfort zone, but in the best way. And now I have such a newfound appreciation for horror, and I watch horror all the time, and I really love it. And I feel like it's something I want to explore more in my career. And I don't think I would have found that within myself if I hadn't done that project. So it really like ignited something in me that I didn't know was there. And that one's coming out at the end of January as well. And I can't wait to see it and just see what we made all together. I think that is one of my most memorable projects for sure.
Good. Nice question. Nice answer. So, I would ask you a question. At Survive the Shows, we are big fans of Christmas rom-coms.
Okay.
What is your all-time favorite?
Ooh, I love Christmas movies. I love them. My mom and I used to watch them just all day, every day when I used to live at home. Oh my gosh. Hmm. I know this isn't really a rom-com, but I love Home Alone. I feel like maybe that's my favorite Christmas movie. It's just so funny. It's just such a classic. But I'm
Yeah,
trying to think, what's that Christmas movie with it's such a classic. It's like it's Hugh Grant, isn't it, I think? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Love Actually.
Yes.
Yeah, good. Yes. Okay. We will talk about your future career, sorry, your next project. And I saw on your IMDb that you have a lot of projects that are upcoming.
Yeah.
So I would like to start with talking about Enthralled.
Oh yeah, yeah. So that is a psychological thriller. Um, That's actually how I met the director of the horror movie I did. He was part of the crew for that one. That
Yeah.
one is very interesting. A lot of people think that enthralled is spelled wrong because it's IN instead of EN.
Oh,
But the reason it's like that is because a lot of the story centers around this old Irish story where there's a song that says to wrap the world in thrall. So that's why they did it like that. That one was really fun as well. I played also kind of a snotty and rude character in that one too. Um, but that one had a lot of twists and turns that were super fun to explore, especially from reading the script. I was super surprised at the end the first time I read it. So shooting it was just such a blast. That one, I believe, is having a premiere at the end of March in 2025, I think. But that one was very interesting. It was one of the first kind of thrillers I ever did. I think that was my first full length feature film that I ever did. So it was a wonderful experience for me. It was such a learning and growing experience. And I was really thankful there was a few people I had worked with before on that set. So I got to grow with those people and I felt very safe and comfortable to ask questions and learn. And everyone was super supportive. That one's going to be very interesting, I think. It has a lot of twists and turns. I feel like people will be very surprised.
amazing. So, another movie that are coming out is Secrets in the Sisterhood. Yeah, can you talk about
I Yes, I loved shooting that. That was such a blast. That one was with Maverick Productions as well, who did Dress to Kill. And I had so much fun on that set. It's unbelievable. It was also directed by Lindsay, who I again said I'm obsessed with her. She's amazing. And me and the other lead girl were just two peas in a pod immediately. We met at the airport on our way to shoot. And it was one of those things like, when you meet a person and you're just like, yep, we connect. Like, that's how we were. We had so much fun together. And it was fun because our characters were kind of rivals and they didn't like each other. So it was hilarious that the second they called action, we're like, but like offset, we're
it?
like hugging and laughing. It was so funny. And me and her name's Luna, me and her are actually great friends now. We talk all the time. I just talked to her this morning. That was another thing. It just felt like such a privilege to be there because I had so much fun. It was so great. That cast and crew was just incredible. We had just a blast. And that one has some really great twists and turns too. It was, I know I said the horror movie. That's definitely a close second of my favorite projects. I just had the best time shooting that one.
Oh, great. Is this, it seems a title for Lifetime. Do you know it will there on Lifetime?
I am actually not sure about that one. Right, we just shot that pretty recently in June. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure when that will be done, when it'll be out.
Oh, okay. We will catch up. And the last movie I would love to talk is The Forest Through the Trees. I think it's the horror movie. No? Yeah,
Yes, that
yeah,
is the horror movie.
yeah.
Oh
You
my gosh, that is so spooky. um, it's very spooky. It has a lot to do with demons, so it's definitely not for the faint of heart. If you're sensitive to those kind of things, I totally understand. It's very scary, and it was interesting to shoot that because our amazing production designer Carla, she did so much research and visited all these stores and got super authentic things to make the altar, because the cult has a kind of compound that we end up at. And everything was so well done and so accurate. It was amazing, but also I kept thinking to myself, like, I hope we're okay here because this is comes some scary stuff. But she took all sorts of precautions. With those kind of things, you can sprinkle charcoal salt, you can put cards on the back of things to protect yourself. Because I remember there was a couple scenes where I won't spoil anything, where I was kind of scared. And she would give me things to keep in my pocket that would protect me if anything were to happen. So that's another thing where I said like it really pushed me out of my comfort zone, but in the best way, because I got to explore things I had never experienced before and research things I had no idea about. And we shot, like I said, in these really creepy cabins. We shot at this old abandoned campground that had been a summer camp like 100 years ago, but it was still there. And all the cabins had signatures of campers from like 1930, all sorts of stuff. And so it was so interesting to be there because you could really see in your head, of course, what the camp would have been like when it was active and running. And it was really cool that now we're shooting something totally different to what the camp was like, like 100 years later. But that one I think is something really, really special. Jason Pitts, the director and writer and producer, is such a passionate guy and he is so brilliant and his writing is just incredible and so well thought out. I think people are going to really like that one. If you like horror, I think you would like it.
Oh, amazing. So we are looking forward to all your project, but for now, make sure all of you to coach Just to Kill on Lifetime Movie Network on January the 3rd, right? The 3rd? Okay, great.
Yeah.
And thank you, Annie, to join us today.
Of course. Thank you for having me. This was so much fun.
For me too. And thank you
Yay.
all for watching.
Of
Bye.
course. Nice to meet you. Thank you so much.